Hi, and welcome to the TEALS School Information Session. This is for schools interested in partnering with us during the 2018-19 school year. My name is Crystal Thompson, and I am the TEALS Houston Regional Manager. First, I'd like to share a little bit about me. Before I joined the TEALS team, I was a district school administrator supporting over 50 high school STEM teachers. I have taught computer science in grades 7 through 12, and before education, I worked for Shell Oil in various capacities as a software professional. Let's get started. I'm going to discuss what partnering with TEALS looks like and touch on a few important topics you will want to know before you start your application. Before we get into partnership details, I would like to share some percentages with you regarding computer science in our K-12 schools. From a 2016 poll conducted by Google and Gallup, parents are very supportive of computer science in our schools. In fact, 84% say it is as important as core classes are. In addition, you can see a majority of our school administrators, teachers, and also students believe computer science should be required. With percentages as high as these, one would expect that computer science was offered in most of our high schools. Unfortunately, that is just not the case. When you look at this graph from code.org with data from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, you can see how important computing jobs are in the U.S., and they're projected to grow at twice the rate of all other jobs. Our students need to be equipped for this reality in our workforce. Now let's take a look at advanced placement participation in computer science from 2016. The number of students taking rigorous computer science has been increasing lately, but it is still not at levels needed. Being a STEM field, it really should be at participation levels with other STEM subjects, like biology, physics, or even calculus. You may ask, why is this the case? And it is truly because schools are just not offering computer science. It's important to note that computer science education isn't simply about filling open positions. Having a working understanding of technology is a necessary skill set into today's society. We need citizens who have a basic understanding of key CS concepts, such as privacy and digital security. One example I would like to share with you is from a classroom I observed this year. The students, teacher, and TEALS volunteer, who was a Google engineer, were discussing data privacy. The volunteer brought up the Google web page of the public library that was across the street and asked the students how the library knew the times that were the busiest by the displayed graph. A rich discussion followed, and it took a bit before a student mentioned phones. The discussion that followed was even richer because the students were not happy as they hadn't given permission to be counted. Being an informed citizen is vital today. The computational thinking skills students learn will strengthen their problem-solving abilities and carry over into any career they choose. Just like biology is foundational in medical professions, computer science is foundational for almost all fields today. Now let's look at computer science education at the state level. First, let's look at Washington State, where TEALS was founded in 2009. You would expect a state with such a strong tech presence to integrate computer science education into its schools. The reality is, only 2% of AP exams taken in 2016 were in computer science. Not only are we not reaching the majority of students, we're also not reaching our diverse groups of students. Let's also take a look at another strong tech state like California, which has Silicon Valley. Unfortunately, California's test numbers are even lower. As far as demographics, we see a very similar picture to Washington, where the classroom demographics do not match the demographics of the state. What we just saw in Washington and California is generally representative in the rest of the country. So let's take a look at a few more states. You can see a pattern of low participation in APCS exams, as well as classroom demographics not being representative of that state's population. This is where TEALS comes in. TEALS partners with schools to build and grow rigorous, sustainable computer science programs. We place a team of trained software professionals in the classroom with the classroom teacher during first period, and this team is collectively responsible for teaching the class. In addition, schools have access to our free curriculum, training materials, and community of volunteers and teachers across the United States. TEALS has a proven track record and was created by experienced educators and industry professionals and continues to be molded by feedback from both communities to ensure the program stays relevant and effective. Even our founder is a software engineer and teacher with a graduate degree in education. TEALS is unique by partnering educators and software professionals. We call this our special sauce. TEALS is generously supported by Microsoft philanthropies and continues growing nationwide. Our partner teachers really appreciate their TEALS volunteers. This quote from one of our TEALS teachers really speaks to what it is like partnering with an industry professional. TEALS continues to grow and expand the program nationwide. This year, we are partnering with 348 schools in 29 states and the District of Columbia. Each school year, TEALS partners with more and more schools. This provides a wide range of school and student populations to work with and learn from. Let's now take a look at who TEALS partners with. Public, private, charter, urban, suburban, rural, you name it, and TEALS is partnered there. If a school wants to build and grow a computer science program, we want to be there to support them. I would like to now draw your attention to the diversity in our TEALS classrooms. We have 2 times the industry average of female students and 3 times the industry average of underrepresented minorities. TEALS is constantly working to increase these numbers to be representative of the populations of our schools. Many times I'm asked why we don't implement TEALS as an after-school program. As you can see, many of our students already participate in these types of programs. Students just cannot be excluded from a computer science course because they participate in another activity. Finally, our hardworking students see themselves as college-bound, and for many, this is their first CS class. TEALS students very much appreciate their classroom teachers and volunteers. And this quote from one of our TEALS alums really speaks to this. TEALS has 3 models of support that best matches the needs of your teacher. Many teachers start in the co-teaching model, and the volunteer team has a high level of responsibility here. They are responsible for almost all preparing, planning, and grading for the class, as well as lesson delivery and student assistance for labs, homework, and projects. Over time, as the teacher is immersed in the course and learning the curriculum, they will begin becoming more involved in the class by maybe teaching a lesson once a week or grading a project. We expect the teacher's comfort level and content mastery to improve over the first 2 years when they then move into the lab support model. At this point, the teacher is responsible for about 85% of the course content, and TEALS volunteers are in more of a support role. In lab support, volunteers are very much like teaching assistants, or TAs, by answering student questions during lab and assisting the teacher to move toward content mastery. Once teachers are confident teaching 100% of the course, they move into the classroom enrichment model, This model's support level will vary for each partner school, and you and your TEALS regional manager will decide on the best option for your class. In all three models, classroom management is always the responsibility of the classroom teacher. And finally, a teacher doesn't necessarily have to start in co-teaching. You and your TEALS regional manager will work together to determine the best level of support for your teacher. Now let's take a look at our class offerings. First is our Introduction to Computer Science course. This course is appropriate for 9th through 12th grade and is a survey course meant to expose students to basic programming theory. It is based on UC Berkeley's CS10 course and can be run as a semester or year-long course. The first semester is taught in Snap, an educational drag-and-drop programming language that allows a lot of easy graphics and customization. If you offer the year-long course, the second semester is taught in Python, a powerful text-based language used in industry. The textbook used is called Blown to Bits, and you can read more about it in our implementation guide. The next course is AP Computer Science A. It is most similar to a college-level introductory course for computer science majors. It is based on the University of Washington's CSE 142-143 course. This class is very rigorous and along the lines of an AP Calculus class. Students will learn a programming language called Java, an industry-standard text-based programming language. This class is appropriate for 10th through 12th graders who have completed Algebra 2. The textbook is called Building Java Programs, and you can also find more about it in our implementation guide. AP Computer Science Principles was offered for the first time in the 2016-17 school year. This course complements AP Computer Science A, but does not replace it. AP Computer Science Principles covers a wide range of CS topics, but less depth than AP Computer Science A. It is most similar to a college-level CS course for non-majors. TEALS has a limited number of nationwide curriculum partners for this course. The classroom teacher will need to attend the professional development offered by the curriculum partner, and TEALS will provide 1 to 2 volunteers to assist in the lab support or classroom enrichment model. The co-teaching model is not available for this course. And finally, first-time teachers of a TEALS course will need to take curriculum professional development. More can be read about this in our implementation guide. Some schools are not going to have local industry professionals to fill their volunteer needs. In these cases, we have a remote model to support these types of classes. Instead of volunteers being physically present, they are beamed in using teleconferencing software. There is an additional summer professional development requirement for remote teaching teams, as well as additional equipment requirements in the classroom. You can read more about these requirements in the TEALS implementation guide. TEALS has an established track record teaching remote classes, investing in them for over 5 years. The picture you see displayed is a 2012 class from Eastern Kentucky. From this small class, there are now 2 computer science majors hailing from a rural community. One even has internship offers from multiple companies. TEALS truly can open doors to students in our remote classrooms. TEALS is also dedicated to empowering students to use computer science to impact the world. To help students take the next step, TEALS has developed a variety of resources geared at building awareness and excitement around computer science and helping students experience firsthand how technology can play a role in their future education and career. Some of these resources include a student opportunities page on our TEALSK12.org website, where students can search for internships, scholarships, workshops, and competitions. We also have a new Student Connection Facebook page that is loaded with the latest computer science and tech news, local and national events, computer science tutorials, and spotlights on college and career paths. We also help to coordinate regional computer science fairs and field trips so students can build their network and gain insight on the vast array of career opportunities available within the technology industry. Our TEALS volunteers have a wide range of backgrounds and experience. Just like doctors have Doctors Without Borders and lawyers do pro bono work, TEALS volunteers give their professional expertise to help teachers build and grow high school computer science programs. Our volunteers come from many industries, and as you can see, they represent over 400 companies. And finally, TEALS doesn't airdrop volunteers into classrooms. Rather, we extensively train them to teach and work with students so they are ready to make a difference in our TEALS classrooms. In the co-teach model, for instance, schools receive about $150,000 of value for the volunteers' services. In this model, volunteers invest about 1,000 hours over the school year. This is a huge benefit to our students, teachers, and schools. TEALS volunteers make an impact in our classrooms across the United States, but our classrooms also make an impact on our volunteers. Sylvia's quote really speaks to this. Recruiting volunteers is a joint effort between the school and TEALS, so we can find the best possible volunteers for your school. We expect all of our partner schools to send an email to their school community explaining the partnership and asking for volunteers to join the program. This is one of our strongest recruitment tools. We'll also explore other avenues in your area for volunteer recruitment, such as reaching out to local companies, professional groups and associations, as well as civic leaders such as mayors and state legislators. TEALS also focuses on national partners, and your TEALS regional manager will give talks at local companies and meetups to help with recruiting. The more assistance your school can provide in this process, the better chance of finding the best possible volunteers for your classroom. Once we have identified volunteer candidates, your school and the TEALS regional manager will work together to interview and place the volunteers. Next, let's talk about the school's responsibilities in the TEALS partnership. Schools will need to designate a partnership coordinator. Typically, an assistant principal or CTE director fills this role. The partnership coordinator will serve as the TEALS primary point of contact at the school and will be responsible for ensuring the partnership requirements are met by the school. In addition to reaching out to the school's community for volunteer recruiting, schools must choose a teacher who meets our partnership requirements. This teacher also needs to be available in the summer for training and responding to email. The school is responsible for providing any class materials and equipment necessary for the class, and these must be ready prior to the first day of school. The TEALS regional manager is there to support the school by observing the classrooms, providing feedback, and leading meetups throughout the school year. They are highly involved and a great resource to the school. The school is also expected to observe the classrooms and provide feedback to the TEALS regional manager on how things are going. And finally, we also expect that the school has an interest in growing their CS program. This can mean offering more sections of the same course or adding more courses and extracurricular opportunities. You've completed watching the school information session. The next steps are to read the TEALS program description and the implementation guide, and both can be found at tealsk12.org/schools. Once you've done that, it's time to apply on our website at the same URL before the school application deadline in February. Once we receive an application from your school, a TEALS regional manager will reach out to schedule an interview with your school to discuss partnership options. In the meantime, begin sharing information about TEALS with your local community. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to your application.